Imagine a civilization thousands of years ago, so advanced that its cities had grid-like streets, sophisticated water management, and even indoor bathrooms. A society that thrived for centuries, trading with Mesopotamia and Egypt, yet left behind a language we still can't read and a history shrouded in mystery. This isn't a fantasy novel. This was the Indus Valley Civilization, one of the ancient world's most fascinating and enigmatic societies. Today, we're diving deep into the story of this lost world, exploring its incredible achievements, its unique culture, and the perplexing questions it left behind. The story begins around 2600 BCE in a vast region stretching across modern-day Pakistan and northwest India. While the Great Pyramids were rising in Egypt and city-states were flourishing in Sumer, another great civilization was taking shape along the fertile banks of the Indus River and its tributaries. This wasn't a small, isolated culture. The Indus Valley Civilization, also known as the Harappan Civilization, was the most widespread of the three great early civilizations, covering an area of over 1 million square kilometers. For a long time, the world knew nothing of it. Its cities lay buried under mounds of earth, its story forgotten. It wasn't until the 1920s that archaeologists, excavating sites like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, began to unearth the scale of this incredible lost society. What they found was astonishing. These were not primitive settlements. They were meticulously planned urban centers, arguably the most advanced of their time. Let's talk about Mohenjo-daro, the Mound of the Dead. This city was a masterpiece of urban planning. Streets were laid out in a perfect grid system, running north-south and east-west, creating neat city blocks. This wasn't accidental. It speaks to a high degree of central planning and organization. Houses were built with standardized, baked bricks, a technological leap from the sun-dried mud bricks used elsewhere. And these houses weren't just simple huts. Many were multi-story structures built around a central courtyard, designed for privacy and to keep cool in the hot climate. But the most mind-blowing feature was their water system. The people of Mohenjo-daro and Harappa were masters of hydraulic engineering. Nearly every house had its own private well, a bathing area, and a toilet that was connected to a city-wide drainage network. Think about that for a second. Indoor plumbing and a sophisticated sewer system over 4,000 years ago. Covered drains ran along the main streets, carrying waste away from the homes. This focus on hygiene and sanitation was unparalleled in the ancient world. They understood the importance of clean water and public health on a level that many societies wouldn't reach for another 2 millennia. Beyond the engineering, the cities reveal a society that valued order and equality. Unlike ancient Egypt or Mesopotamia, we find no grand palaces for kings or monumental temples for gods. There are no lavish royal tombs filled with gold. Instead, the cities show a remarkable uniformity. The houses, while varying in size, share a similar design. The weights and measures were standardized across the entire civilization, from the coast to the northern plains. This suggests a more egalitarian society, perhaps governed by a council of merchants, priests, or elders, rather than an all-powerful monarch. Their focus seems to have been on community, order, and the well-being of the general population, not on glorifying a single ruler. The economy of the Indus Valley was just as sophisticated as its cities. They were skilled farmers, growing wheat, barley, cotton, and dates. Aided by the fertile floodplains of the river, they were also incredible artisans. Archaeologists have found beautiful pottery, intricate beadwork made from semi-precious stones, and stunning bronze and copper tools. But what truly stands out are the seals. Thousands of small, square seals, carved from a soft stone called steatite, have been discovered. Each one is a miniature work of art, featuring detailed engravings of animals like bulls, elephants, rhinos, and a mysterious unicorn-like creature alongside a script of symbols. These seals were likely used for trade, perhaps to stamp clay tags on bundles of goods, acting as a kind of ancient brand logo or signature. We found these Harappan seals as far away as Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, which tells us they were part of a vast international trade network, exchanging goods like cotton textiles and precious stones across the sea. But this brings us to the greatest puzzle of all: the script. The symbols on the seals represent a language that we have been unable to decipher. For 100 years, linguists, archaeologists, and codebreakers have tried to crack the Indus script, but it remains a mystery. We don't know what it says, what language family it belongs to, or even if it's a true writing system. Without readable texts, we have no names of their kings, No records of their laws, no myths of their gods. Their entire history, their beliefs, their thoughts, they are all silent. It's like finding a library full of beautiful books, but not being able to read a single word. This silence makes understanding their religion and culture a challenge. While they didn't build massive temples, they clearly had a rich spiritual life. We find many terracotta figurines of women, often called mother goddesses, which might suggest a belief system centered on fertility and life. On the seals, we see figures that some scholars link to early prototypes of Hindu deities. One famous seal, known as the Pashupati seal, depicts a seated figure surrounded by animals, which some believe is an early form of the Hindu god Shiva, the lord of animals. We also see evidence of ritual bathing in the Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro, a large public water tank that may have been used for religious ceremonies. These clues hint at a connection to later Indian traditions, suggesting that the roots of Hinduism might stretch back even further than we thought, into the heart of the Indus Valley. The civilization flourished for about 700 years, a period of stability and prosperity. But then, around 1900 BCE, something changed. The great cities began to decline. The meticulous urban planning faltered. New construction became shoddy, and old buildings were subdivided into smaller, cruder dwellings. The sophisticated drainage systems fell into disrepair. People started to abandon the cities, moving east towards the Gangetic Plain. So, what happened? Why did this advanced, organized, and prosperous society collapse? This is another one of the big mysteries. For a long time, the leading theory was a violent invasion by Aryan tribes from Central Asia. But modern archaeology has found little evidence of widespread warfare or destruction that would support this idea. Today, most researchers believe the decline was caused by a combination of factors, with climate change being a major culprit. The Indus River system, the lifeblood of the civilization, began to shift its course. The monsoon patterns, which the farmers depended on for their crops, may have become weaker and more erratic. This could have led to droughts, crop failures, and famine, making the large cities unsustainable. The environmental changes likely disrupted their agricultural base and trade networks, forcing a gradual migration and decentralization of the population. The Indus people didn't just vanish. Their society transformed. They moved into smaller villages, and over time, their unique culture blended with other groups, eventually giving rise to the new cultures of ancient India. The Indus Valley Civilization is a profound reminder of how much of our human story is still lost. Here was a society that valued hygiene, urban planning, and trade. A peaceful and orderly culture that thrived for centuries, only to have its voice silenced by time. Their cities were buried, their language forgotten, but their legacy endures. It lives on in the possible echoes of their beliefs in modern Hinduism, in the DNA of the people of the subcontinent, and in the bricks of their silent, magnificent cities. They challenge our ideas of what it means to be advanced and remind us that some of the greatest stories in history are the ones we still have to piece together. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found the mystery of the Indus Valley as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more adventures into our forgotten past. What part of their story surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below. See you next time.